still comes around.
By the way,
Nice.
if you're just coming in and you're hearing this chatter and you're like, why am I hearing about weekends and soccer? We're just chit-chatting before the start of the webinar, which actually is now. It's 1:00.
Yeah.
And to respect all of your time, we're just going to get right into it. We've got a good crowd already, and I'm sure others will be joining us. So let's get straight into it, guys. All right. So today we are talking about optimizing marketing campaigns for your insurance agency. Super excited about this topic. And I think all of you are too. We have over 200 registered for this webinar. So I think this is definitely, a conversation that many of you want to have, a topic that many of you want to learn more about. And we have a lot of good stuff for you today and what I'm hoping is that you'll walk away with some really great tidbits that you can incorporate immediately. We'll be watching the chat. So if you want to just chat with us during the presentation, that's fine. Use the chat window. Otherwise, if you have a specific question that you want answered, please use the Q&A, and then we'll go through those either during the webinar if it's related, or we'll cover them after in the Q&A section. Whoops. All right, so let's get some introductions going. This is me, Monica Barraquette. I am VP of Operations, and I run client and marketing operations for Agency Revolution. So I run the team that onboards your website and your marketing automation product, and also the team that supports it if you become a client. And then I also do handle some marketing operations functions as well. And this photo, we're in Pittsburgh. We went to the Kenny Chesney concert in Pittsburgh, which was a blast. That was 6 hours of my life that I didn't know I needed. It was a little too long for me. I got a little tired towards the end, but it was a really killer concert. My son, Matt, he's the oldest here. He's very into Kenny Chesney. So it was a good time for all of us. Chorley.
Hello, my name is David Chorley. I'm the client success team lead. So chances are, if you're an AR customer, you've probably dealt with me. I recognize several names on the list. So welcome, everybody. Good to see you all here. I've been a busy boy. My wife gave birth to our son on Saturday. That is me in the hospital holding him. So life's pretty good right now. I actually got 7 hours of sleep last night. So let's knock on wood collectively that will continue. Also, he was born on Saturday, September 21st. So that song by Earth, Wind, and Fire has brand new meaning to me. Do you remember the 21st night of September? And that's all the singing you'll hear from me today. Thank you very much.
I love that. And by the way, guys, for all of you here that are like, what kind of company is this that, makes Chorley come to work the week that his child was born? We have a great paternity leave program, but Chorley was so excited about this webinar that he actually Slacked me through our internal messaging system and said, I want to still do this. So
Yeah, I
that's why he's
volunteered to
here.
do this. It's been a nice break from putting together IKEA furniture and changing
Yeah.
diapers. So.
He is very dedicated to the cause of marketing campaigns. So thank you, Chorley.
I'm glad you said that, Monica. We look like crazy.
I know. I was going to say, I'm like, I do not want HR to come to me and say, like, how are you representing us? Just kidding. They would never. We have a surprise guest today, two actually, but one you know about, the other one you didn't, and that's Liz Alabach, and she is our product manager for Fuse and Forge. This is a woman you want to know if you want to see some, cool things happening in the future with our products. Liz, give us a little intro.
Yes, I am the one who decides the cool things that happen in the products. So I'm the product manager for both Fuse and Forge. These are my beautiful twin boys. Ezra is the little one that I'm holding, and Oliver is my taller one. And of course, my husband, John. So they're about 2 years old here. So yeah,
Awesome.
That's me.
It's a great picture.
Thank you.
And you now have Liz's contact information. So write it down really quickly, take a screenshot so you could bother her anytime you have an idea for a new feature or product. Anyway.
My goodness.
Just kidding. Don't bother her too much. She'll get mad at me. And last but not least, I am so excited to have Jared West with us today. He is an amazing client of Agency Revolution. I hear his name probably at least once a week from my client experience team,
Love that.
about how amazing Jared is and how great and how friendly and how thankful and how everything. So I was like, I have to invite Jared to this webinar, and he's going to talk to us about a case study on how he uses our Forge website and Fuse marketing automation product. So Jared, give us a little intro.
Hey, everybody. Monica and team, thank you so much for having me on here. Love being a partner of your all's and sharing all the experiences that we've had together. So I'm an agent in West Virginia. My dad is the agency owner. We have 5 locations across West Virginia. Well, 4 in West Virginia, 1 in Proctorville, Ohio. And we literally can write just about everything that's available in the insurance and financial market. So a little bit about us. You can definitely tell we're a family-oriented agency, and you can see my family here. It's huge, and there's actually one missing from the photo. So if we were separated that day, myself and the guy in the Mr. Roper green shirt in the back, we had a soccer game, and so we ended up coming back with just enough time to get cleaned up and head to the reception for a wedding of our oldest son, who's got the long hair in the back. So quick introduction. So I'm Jared, right? Okay. Operations and growth manager at the Clark West Agency. My wife is the redheaded beauty over on the right-hand side. And then oldest to youngest, right behind her is Keenan. He currently is living in Nashville, chasing a music dream right now. Next to him is our 16-year-old Preston. Beside him, the taller one is actually a 15-year-old Owen. Him and I do jujitsu together, and you basically just roll around and wrestle anytime we get a chance. In the middle is our little princess Fallon. She's 10 years old, and right in front of her is the baby boy Soren. And no, we did not plan on having all of our kids. Oh, and the one that's missing, she's 28, and her name is Morgan. So Morgan, Keenan, Preston, Owen, Fallon, and Soren. Not planned until we got to, well, not planned until we got to Soren, and we figured all the other ones end in N, and we can't have him have a name like Zach or something like that and not fit in with the rest of them. So that's our family.
I think that was a good call, Jared.
I agree.
Really good
I
call.
agree.
I don't know. I think that would have been really awkward, that last one would have felt super left out. So good job.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Good job thinking that through. Anyways, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. And you'll hear a little bit more from Jared as we move on through the presentation. So here is our agenda for today. We're going to go into marketing campaigns, just kind of an introduction into some key things that you need to know about or just consider. Campaign elements, the things that you should pay attention to as you're building out your campaign, some best practices. We'll cover tracking and analytics, and then we can get into questions. Once again, if you do have a question as we're presenting, feel free to just post it in the Q&A. If it's something that's related to what we're talking about, we'll answer it right then and there. Otherwise, we can cover it in the Q&A session at the end. So let's begin. The first thing that I want to do is really just sort of frame your thinking a little bit for this presentation. I wanted to keep this super simple. And by the way, I know what KISS stands for, but I didn't want to use the word stupid. I felt like that would not be a good move, right, in a recorded webinar. So I renamed it to keep it super simple. There are many ways to run an effective marketing campaign. There's many different types of campaigns, many different components that you could be, playing with. I wanted to keep it simple for you all, and I wanted to base this on what we at Agency Revolution have an expertise in, which is insurance websites and marketing automation. So those are the 2 main components that we're sort of going to frame this entire presentation on. And again, there's many different ways to get to the goal, but this is what we have expertise in, and this is what we have seen work really well for our insurance agency clients. So we're just going to keep it simple so that you can actually find this useful and, get off this call and give some of these tips a try. Starting with the pre-work, one of the first things that you want to consider when you're creating a marketing campaign for your insurance agency is to write out a clear statement of what you want to accomplish with that campaign. Sounds super basic, but so important, and make it really clear and specific. So what we did here, and you'll see this theme of commercial auto insurance run through the entire presentation, but I just wrote out a statement to give you an example of what I mean by being clear and specific. What do I want to do with this campaign? I want to attract commercial auto insurance prospects and capture their contact information. That is very specific. And Liz, you had a really good point about where these statements need to come from.
Yeah, for sure. They need to come from the agency. We see so many people email in by no fault of their own because there's just not a lot of information on this topic out there. But tons of people email in and say, I want to make X amount of leads by doing blank. And we're like, cool, that's great. But how do you want to do that? And who do you want to target? And all of the pre work. If the pre work is done correctly, it makes it so much easier on you because you know what to specifically ask for when it comes to reaching out to the agency revolution team. So if you don't have that guidepost, it's going to be a lot harder for our team to do our job and really give you results.
Agreed. So the next one up in the pre-work is identify your success metrics. So in order to determine, is my campaign successful once you're fully, once you're in it, running it, or analyzing it at the end, you need to have some sort of success metrics that you're going to measure against at some point. So again, be very clear and specific, right? I want to generate 10 new commercial auto insurance policy leads with this campaign. You decide what that number needs to be, right? It could be 10, it could be 5, it could be 15. Keep in mind, be realistic with that number because you're looking for legitimate, vetted, interested prospects for whatever your goal or objective of that campaign is. Specify the campaign duration. So again, is this something that is going to be ongoing? Are you going to be running this campaign, until you decide to stop? Or is it something like a webinar that you're promoting and really you just want to track the results of that campaign over a course of, 3 months? Be specific, as you write this out. And I would recommend just put together a little Google Doc, and just mark these things down and fill them in. It could just be a one-line sentence where you're telling yourself, this is how I'm building this campaign and these are the things that I'm paying attention to. It doesn't have to be anything crazy, or anything, special, like really just a document where you're going to jot this down is all you need.
I was just going to say that, like, or even just on a post-it note at your desk, like literally so simple. And then any other request or thought you might have around this campaign, you can use it as your thesis statement. If we're writing a paper back in 10th grade, but you come back to that as your guidepost to say, does the thing that I'm requesting or doing fit back to this motif? And will that help me drive results? So it truly can be a math problem, a thesis paper. Like, truly think about, is what I'm asking for going to get to this outcome that I've written down and planned for?
Exactly. Define the audience. This is big, right? Who are you trying to target with this campaign? Again, be specific. So I want to target contractors and construction business owners with company vehicles. We are going with the theme of commercial auto insurance. So I'm being very specific with this campaign, and you'll see an example of what I'm talking about a little bit later on and why that's important. With this campaign, these are the actual individuals that I want to target because that's going to determine a lot. Your messaging, your call to action, your imagery, the whole vibe of the entire campaign really is going to depend on one of these your audience and who you select as your audience. Outline the message. So what do you want to communicate to your audience? What's going to grab their attention? What's going to sort of tug at them to want to learn more or fulfill some sort of a call to action? So here are some examples. You want to make sure that you're clearly getting across a value proposition in all of your campaign elements. So in this case, working through the commercial auto insurance concept, protect your construction fleet. That is our value proposition. The benefit statement would be financial protection against unexpected costs. And these are just examples, but something that you can sort of use to frame your own campaign around. And finally, you want to have a unique selling point. So in this case, industry specific expertise. Our agency specializes in commercial auto insurance for this specific audience.
And with all the content that you just wrote out there, basic outline of it, that's really where you can shine as an independent insurance agent, because literally no one else knows that topic of conversation except for you. So you can really highlight, I've had 17 years of experience doing da 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 da, da, right? Here's what I've learned in that 17 years. And it can be all written out for those people to ingest.
Exactly.
And
And it
also,
builds the credibility. Go ahead, Truly.
absolutely. And also, and this is where the clarity of your message comes into play. Let's use, a campaign for life insurance. There's a lot of different ways you can sell life insurance to customers. There's how inexpensive it is, or it's not just for old people, or the peace of mind for your loved ones, or the discounts you might get with bundling, right? That's a lot of different information. But in outlining your message and making sure it's clear, going back to that first point of setting the clarity of the goal, maybe you just pick one of those and say, you know what, we want a marketing campaign that is just going to be about how, life insurance isn't as inexpensive as you think it is, or it's just as cheap as a trip to Starbucks, or, it's cheaper than a streaming service. And then your marketing campaign is really all about that, rather than bringing a lot of other things into the mix. So that's just another example of what we're talking about here.
Yeah, that's a great point. Thanks, Charlie. So set the CTA. We're still in the pre-work, right? So you're still filling out that Google Doc or Word doc, and you are just filling in little statements in here with this pre-work that you're putting together before you build out the campaign. So what do you want the call to action to be? What do you want them to do? You know, when they, in order for them to convert, what do you want them to actually do? Do you want them to call you? Do you want them to email you? Do you want them to fill out a form? What are those actions? And they should be clear, direct, and easy to follow. So in this
I would
case,
also add to that, have it be one objective. Like, you don't
yes,
want to say in one area, give us a call, another area say, give us an email, other person say, oh, chat with us. Confusing. Make it one time.
yeah, it has to be consistent, and it has to be one thing that they can focus on, because they will get distracted and they will abandon probably. So in this case, an example of that is, I want them to request a commercial auto insurance quote. And again, like, you could write these types of statements on your document just to be really clear with yourself. What are you looking to accomplish here? So that brings us to the end of pre-work. Those are some really great tips. Now the next section that we're going to go over is marketing campaign elements. So we're actually going to show you examples of the things that are really important in order to make sure that you set up your campaign for success. So your marketing landing page is your hub. If you don't have a central place to drive people to go to, that's going to be really hard to measure success, but to even just get them to convert. So you have to have some sort of a hub for your campaign to drive your prospects to. So in this case, a marketing landing page would be your hub. And what I've done here is just put together some examples of what those landing pages can look like. These are examples from our Forge website product. So we actually have these built into our Forge website product that our insurance agency clients can choose from and customize with their own content. But it gives you, you could use whatever website platform you're using and just sort of structure your landing page this way. Some important components for you to consider as you're building out your landing page. They're all highlighted here, but we'll review each one. So number one, a headline that draws you in. So as you can see, all of these here, oops, I just clicked by accident. All of these landing pages here have a very strong headline that is making a bold statement. So that is really important. A cool stat for bonus points. So in this middle example, do not leave yourself exposed to risk, there is a statistic. The reason why that's effective, it just, it makes a statement and tells the visitor something that they may not have known, and kind of creates a sense of urgency for why they should continue to read and learn more. A call to action throughout the page. So you'll notice on all of these examples, we have buttons that are all over the pages. They all say the same thing. It's the same call to action, but they're sort of listed throughout the content, because as somebody is scrolling down the page, we want them to always have that call to action to fill out the form. in this case, to be readily available to them. And for those of you wondering, well, these look like they're really long pages. I heard that everything should be above the fold. That has been not the case for, I don't know, Liz, what, over 10, 20 years? There is
Oh,
no such thing as above the fold. People actually prefer to scroll, especially with mobile being predominantly where people view your content.
yeah, and just one other thing on that. You haven't earned their trust enough to have anything happen above the fold, quote unquote, because it takes a while. And I think we all agree if we're reading something online, you have to trust the source that it's coming from. So if you're putting all your eggs in one basket to make sure they see something right at the top, that's a risk because it might take convincing to get all the way down to the bottom of this page to have someone do something with it.
Yep. Simple lead capture form. I see this mistake many, many times where, our clients want to have like 15 fields within their form. They want to ask for a driver's license number. They want to ask for the home address or the business address. They want to ask all kinds of questions. This is not an insurance intake form. This is a lead form. The most someone who doesn't know you or your agency is going to give you is their name, email address, maybe phone number, but that's even questionable. So I would make that field maybe not required unless you're comfortable with making it required. You might just have a little bit of a smaller conversion rate, but just keep your form simple. It's a lead form. It's intended for you to grab that lead and then follow up on it, to have a human follow up on it. So you don't need to collect all of the information that you'll eventually need to write a policy.
So Monica, if I can speak
yeah.
up on that just real
Go
quick,
ahead.
we recently just made a change on our website for intake purposes because I had too many options. With Agency Revolution, you guys partner with other organizations, so we were able to use consumer rate quote through PL Rater and actually give access to customers. We're not providing a quote for the customers. We're using it as a additional information gathering tool. So if they want to go in and go through the little survey, they can do that, but then they also have the option of just submitting a form, which is going to be very basic, just contact information, hey, I need a quote type of a message to us. But it was all on the same page, and I think it was Liz that said, if you do this or do this or do it's too much. And then honestly, we ended up getting a lot of information that we weren't able to utilize at the speed that we wanted to utilize it. So we reduced that tremendously. We're really only using the form as a fallback because our preferred method is going to be the consumer rate quote. As much information as the customer can put forward to us will help us be able to process that more quickly. And actually, it's increased our quote count through our website when we reduce the noise on that particular landing page.
Yeah, it usually does because again, you haven't built that trust yet, right? To
Mm-hmm.
begin to ask all of those questions, you want them to first, indicate interest, and then once you have that interest, then there's a little bit more trust built up, so they're willing to give more information. Great point, Jared. Credibility indicator with reviews, that's pretty important on a landing page. So you want to have some client testimonials or maybe drive people to your Google reviews. And finally, engaging in educational components really help. In this case here, you're seeing, by the way, does anybody see my mouse? Because that
Yeah.
might,
Yes.
yeah, okay, great. In this case here, we have on our landing pages, you could incorporate our clickable coverage graphics, which are interactive graphics that you can sort of click on and explore to learn more about different types of insurance coverages. So this type of stuff is what keeps the visitor on the page learning and exploring and sort of converts them into that lead. So if you're a Forge client, you have these available. If you're not, what are you waiting for? You could definitely have access to these if you become a client one day. So those are your 6 key things that you should be paying attention to on your marketing landing pages.
And if I could throw in a quick bonus too on a
Yeah.
landing page, if you create a custom landing page for the specific marketing campaign that you are about to launch, it gives you an extra way of actually tracking the success. A lot of my customers that I talk to are scared of Google Analytics. They don't really know how to use it. They're not really utilizing it. I would embrace it for something like this because at the very least, if you can create a custom page that you're heavily promoting for this one campaign, you can at least track the traffic to that page, and you can just see, oh, I had 200 people on this page in the last 30 days. That gives you some idea of how the campaign is going. So rather than just sending people to your home page for or a life insurance page, create a custom campaign, and again, you were going to be able to measure that success all the better.
So
Yeah,
real time
absolutely.
numbers,
Yeah.
we in the past 6 days, we've actually had 105 sessions come to our website, and the average session duration is over 2.5 minutes long.
Which is huge.
Yep.
And honestly, most of these folks, if I wasn't planning on going into those numbers, but I've looked at it recently, they're actually going directly to our website rather than going through Google. So because our Google numbers are not quite as good as that. So we're still building, the expanding our Google My Business opportunity. So once we kind of get those both running on the same amount of cylinders, I think we'll really start gaining some real traffic.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's a really great point, Jared and Chorley. And Chorley, I agree. I mean, if you're running a campaign and you're just driving people to your homepage, you're losing a lot of
Potential.
opportunity and potential for conversion because you're not giving people a path to work through. They don't know what to do once they land on your homepage because it has all of the information. And it kind of, breaks the experience, right? If you're running an ad that is targeted to construction business owners, for commercial auto insurance, and you're driving that ad, whether it's a print ad or a billboard ad or whatever you're doing, you're driving that to your homepage, the experience breaks because they land there and they're not quite sure what to do, right?
Right.
Because there's a lot of information they have to parse through to find the information that they're looking for. So niching that down to a marketing landing page for that specific audience is what's going to help. We talked
Very
about
well
simple
said.
lead capture forms. Thank you. We talked about simple lead capture forms. So we're going to skip over that one because you already saw an example of that and the importance of not adding too many fields. But just wanted to give you a highlight of what our Forge website product and our Fuse marketing automation product work really well together as a single unit. And this is just an example of what our Fuse form looks like built into a Forge marketing landing page. So that way, when somebody submits this form, it gets dumped right into our Fuse marketing automation product, and you can kind of continue that cycle. And we'll talk a little bit more about that and why that's important and how that can help create an entire journey for your prospects. Thank you page. That's another really important component. After someone fills out a form on your landing page, where do they go? What experience do they have? You want them to be redirected to some sort of a thank you page that acknowledges that they filled out that form and maybe gives them suggestions on what else they can explore. So this is an example of a thank you page that's built into our Forge website product. So someone filled out that commercial auto insurance request form and they get immediately routed over to this thank you form where they can find out a little bit more information, learn more about the agency, read the agency's 5-star reviews, or contact the agency with any questions.
We actually also give an expectation as to when they should expect to hear from somebody. When primarily we did that because we really expect most of our prospects to be potentially coming in after hours or on the weekends, and we don't want them to think that they're reaching out to a call center. We really wanted them to feel like this is going to be a fully customized shopping experience for them, and so therefore they're not going to be just starting to get leads that are being sold to the highest bidder. This is going to be a personalized experience that's going to be coming specifically from our agency. Now it might cut because we try to direct those because we've got 5 locations. We do what those come in to me and my dad, and then we distribute those to the appropriate locations so that it can make it even more personalized and personal because they're going to be getting a local office giving them a call.
Really great point. Because a lot of times where the failure happens, Jared, is there is no follow-up or follow through on those leads. I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but not within the insurance industry specifically, but I can't tell you how many times I have reached out to a potential, service provider via their website form because I wanted to use their services. And I filled out the form and I got a confirmation that says we'll be in touch, and I never heard back. That is, I mean, that's like dollars just running out the door.
Yeah,
I don't understand it, but it happens often.
the other side of that is if you're on Facebook and you see one of those super glorious, refinance your mortgage opportunities, and you fill that out, and then you're getting 200 calls a day, from people from all over the country that you never
Yep.
expected to hear from. That's what, people don't want that either.
No.
That's why I really try to focus on those personalized experiences. And then too, I don't know if you're planning on going into this or not, Monica, but I always use video proposals when making contact, either first contact or quote follow-up contact with the video proposal, because most of the folks I talk to, because I'm on the road all the time, are interactions like this. And I have actually had folks give us reviews and tell me that we've got a better relationship than any other insurance relationship that they've ever had. And I've never met them in person. It's been through video, text, and video proposals.
That's an amazing tip. What Jared is talking about is we have a video proposals tool, sales tool built into our Forge website product. And I think it personalizes the whole experience. Jared, I agree. I think video is really, really effective, especially when somebody is just getting to know your agency or already a client and you just want to keep that personal relationship going. It just shows effort. You're taking that one extra step, to give them a better experience that feels a little bit less, robotic than just like an email. We actually do the same thing. Our client experience team will often send you a video response to a question that you may have, just because it simplifies things. You have that extra human touch. So thanks for that tip.
And it
That's a
drives
great
the
tip.
traffic back to your website. It's just
Correct.
a cyclical, symbiotic, work that continues to drive business back to your
Yeah.
agency.
Yeah,
I agree.
that's a great.
But I have an independent agent from just my household as well, and I've only texted the guy, and he's very reputable. He uses Forge for his website, but I've never been on a phone call with him, never done anything. We handled it all through text, and it happens. So it works.
Yeah.
It's effective.
You got to meet your clients and prospects where they are. You can't, your philosophy can't be, we're going to do only this because that's what works for us. You have to think about what works best for your target client base, your existing client base, your prospects, whoever you're working with or hoping to work with. You have to figure out where are they and what type of options do they want from my agency. Otherwise,
And
you're missing the boat.
and be real. I get a lot of kind of static from our folks, from some of them, because they're like, oh, my hair's not right, or whatever. People are just consumers, customers, prospects, whoever, they're just looking for real, authentic, somebody who understands them. And this is a tool that helps you become an extension. It's just like having a conversation with somebody sitting right across from you in your office.
Yeah.
In a time when they can't sit across from you. So, don't try to be that perfect influencer type. Just be you, and it will help you along the way, because they'll pick up on it if it's not genuine.
Agreed. And Jared, what you were talking about kind of leads into the slide around lead management and having some sort of a pipeline journey. Now, at Agency Revolution, we actually have a product called Pipelines with a feature called Pipeline Journeys. But so I'm going to show you what that looks like on a screenshot. But what I want you to think about is just in a simplistic way. You want to have a way to take that prospect that just came in through your landing page, through your form, your lead generation form that you had on that landing page. You want to drop them into some place, whether it's into the actual pipeline journey, feature of Fuse, or into a spreadsheet where you're going to track all of these leads that are coming in. It doesn't matter. Keep it simple. But you want to take them on some sort of a journey to nurture that lead. And that's what Jared was talking about, right? That personalized outreach that's going to continue to build that relationship. So here's a little screenshot of what that looks like in Fuse. So you could actually have prospects drop into a pipeline for commercial auto insurance, and I'll show this to you live how it can work live. And you could drop them into a prospect stage, and then you could work them through different stages as you nurture that prospect. So, for example, let's say this is your spreadsheet, right? You're going to drop your prospects into a spreadsheet and maybe have a column for different stages that you want to take them through. So you're going to have somebody reach out. That's going to be stage one. Okay, what does that outreach look like? Are they going to make a phone call? Are they going to send an email? Maybe it's a text message. What is included in that next stage that you want that client, that prospect to go through? Then maybe you get to a stage where you're sending out a quote, a proposal. What do you want that to look like? Maybe along with the proposal, maybe you're sending that as a video, right? Like Jared was talking about, a video proposal where you're kind of reviewing the proposal information so that they have that human element, human component. Whatever your stages are that you want to take that prospect through, just remember this is that nurturing, right? So you have this lead that you've captured, that you've worked so hard to capture, and it's targeted and it came through that landing page. Now you need to work that lead so that they become closed won, so that you actually, that you write a policy as a result of that lead. So that's what a pipeline journey would be. And it could be on Fuse, or it could be on a spreadsheet, or it could be in a Word document. It makes no difference what tool you use, but just have something in place to get that done.
And
The
Monica,
cool part about, oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say, I'm just very surprised, and still am constantly surprised at how many agencies don't think about this or don't really have a system in place to really organize their leads, and that this should be very much a part of that overall campaign picture. How are those leads going to be nurtured when they going to come in? Who within the agency is going to be monitoring this? And what kind of system is in place just to make sure that nobody falls through the cracks, and keep it simple, right? At the end of the day, this is really what this is all about, is to make sure when those leads come in, hey, when you send a quote and that quote is not responded to, or that person drops off the face of the earth, what is the plan to make sure you're keeping in front of those leads, and again, that they don't fall through those cracks?
And Charlie, truly, this is why we built this pipeline product, because we needed, as an industry, to answer the call. I've spoken to so many agents while helping develop this aspect that just say, yeah, Bob does it this way, Jen does it the other way, and the other person does it this way. And it's chaotic for them. They live in a state of chaos, because how can you genuinely track all of the output that your agency is doing? So, unbiased plug for pipeline. We are making a ton of updates to this, and it's just an evolving product. So Monica will get into it more, but it's really helpful.
I will. I'm going to keep this moving because I want to give Jared some good time to talk about his case study. We talked about the activities a little bit already. So just as you're working your prospect through a journey to nurture them, just remember there's a different activities that you can have them go through in each stage of the journey. They could be emails, they could be texts, they could be phone calls, whatever you decide. Just make sure that you kind of list out what stage gets what type of activity, so that you can convert them into an actual client. And here's just an example of what that looks like in our Fuse product. So as you could see, this is a campaign sequence that we've set up for the commercial auto insurance campaign that we're using as an example in this webinar. And in this case, the sequence for the first stage of the pipeline journey is to add a tag to that record, to that lead record, wait for a minute, and then send them a nice little email that sort of walks them through why they need to consider commercial auto insurance with this specific agency. So just an example of what that one stage can look like. All right, Jared, you've been chiming in with a lot of great information, but walk us through how you have used Forge and Fuse in combination to have some successes with some of the campaigns that you've been running.
Yeah, sure. So I'm glad that, we definitely spent some time kind of giving me guardrails, because I feel like we've done so much. We've only had Fuse for coming up on a year, but we've had the website for coming up on 2 years, I believe. So being able to, continue to have opportunities, have goals that we've set, and then watch them come through to fruition has been tremendous. Basically, for the case study that we're going to be talking about here, I had an experience where one of our companies partnered with an electric grid monitoring system that you put inside of your home. And so because of my own personal experience where the monitoring system actually found a fire hazard in my house, and they remedied the problem and no money ever had to come out of my pocket, I became quickly very passionate about trying to share this information with as many folks as we possibly could. So, the one thing I can tell you about the folks at Agency Revolution is they've really dialed this in and they hold your hand through the entire way. And so even though I come up, with some ideas from time to time, they've really tailored the experience in that they take all of the guesswork out of it. They actually take care of all the legwork themselves. And all I have to do is basically just kind of fill in the blanks. And then they run with it from there. So I went ahead and identified, first of all, our target market. Well, first I wanted to, I had to come up with my hypothesis. Everybody has electric running through their house. And if you have electric running through your house, that's potentially a hazard. So we wanted to make sure that everyone knew that there was a company out there that can help monitor that and also give you some money towards helping to get that problem remedied. So as we went through and sort of developed this whole thing, we needed to get this out efficiently to everybody within our agency's umbrella. Everybody within our footprint, I felt like needed to hear this information. So we came up with the webinar announcement email. And Monica, I think you have that email on the next screen here. So I wanted to make sure that this was going to be as easy as possible to share with folks. And so the process I wanted to create was letting them know that they have potentially a problem, letting them know that there was a remedy for that problem. I wanted to educate them on, what that problem was and how they could remedy it and have an easy way of registering for our webinar. And then also have a place to go afterwards if maybe they didn't catch something or somebody didn't actually make it to the webinar, they wanted to come back and see it, after the fact. So we needed to have a housing landing page for our webinars. So you can see within our email here, I'm sort of identifying those problems and also giving them an easy way to sign up for the webinar. That's a live button where it says sign up today. When you click on that, it then takes you to the registration. Well, actually, it takes you to the webinar landing page itself, which it gives all the details about who's presenting, what's it about, these power surges, threaten your homes. And you can see quickly the passion that we had. This really, the genesis of this was not to sell insurance, which kind of sounds crazy because we're insurance professionals, but selling these policies was going to be a byproduct of that, because we're actually showing our passion for the protection of home, life, and money, ultimately. So
you're adding value. You're adding value. The sale can come naturally because you're adding value and you're building trust.
Absolutely. And so there's a lot of information we built into this landing page. Who is the company that we were representing, on there. There was some YouTube videos that were embedded in there that showed about the product itself, information about the CEO and co-founder of the company that also helped host the webinar with me, and then the registration was also on there. So we continued to work through that as they plugged in their information to register. We wanted to make sure that they then got the webinar information. We were using Teams, so we had to go through a couple of steps to make sure that they got the calendar invite and had a way to save that to their calendar, as well as a reminder to go out, if they hadn't registered yet, that they were going to be reminded to go back through those steps again. And in addition to what's going on here, from Agency Revolution and Fuse, I'm also taking all these things and posting them on social media to try to gather some, because these emails that are coming out from Agency Revolution and Fuse are only going to emails that we've captured within the agency and are housed on our agency management system. So I also wanted to broaden that and try to capture folks that, you know, maybe weren't our customers already, and bring in you know, some new faces. So in addition to posting these particular things on social media, I'm also doing the video proposals that I'm able to share on social media as well, with links to the webinar registration pages as well. So, you know, once all of those, and you can kind of watch it, you know, build as time goes on. And I would tell you too, to make sure that you are giving yourself enough time to build these. And it's not something that, you know, I've got an idea and I want to do it next week. That's not going to be enough time to generate your audience, you know, get it all together and get it out in time to get an audience big enough that's going to be worth, you know, your time as well as theirs. So make sure that you're allowing yourself enough time to get the word out.
That's a good point.
Yeah. And
Go ahead.
what we're showing on this screen, this is the campaign that Jared set up in Fuse. And these are all of the different sequence steps that he was able to set up to sort of automate, you know, all of the activities related to the webinar campaign that he was running. So, you know, he wanted his, he wanted the people registering to be tagged in a specific way. You know, he wanted to send out a webinar announcement email. He wanted to send a reminder email out to those who have not registered. There's a registration form that's built into the campaign. So we're just kind of giving you an idea of, there's a bunch of different steps that are part of this campaign that Jared was, you know, able to kind of set up, plan for, and then just the execution of it happened in an automated way, because he was able to set the different steps, you know, and time them, you know, specifically, and have select his audience, you know, and sort of create different rules to ensure that things were happening the way they needed to happen at the time they needed to happen. So it just helped, you know, with the whole process.
Yeah, and then the last piece was right here, a sort of thank you note. And instead of just sending it out to the folks that, you know, registered and participated, we decided to go ahead and send it out to everyone. Now, a couple of learnings, you know, I took here. I didn't know that you could save a thumbnail rather than just, you know, save yourself, and, you know, as you're taking that nice breath to, you know, say your next word, and you end up with a super goofy face. I would recommend maybe changing that and using, you know, a nice little thumbnail as your cover photo here. This is embedded, and then it does take you to YouTube to watch the video of the recorded webinar. But, you know, this was the second one actually that we did. The first webinar that we did was about insurance industry trends and how they're affecting your pricing. And, you know, I really wanted to have as large of a live audience as we could. But then we decided to build the resource page where we're going to have past webinars that we've held. So you can continue to use those as resources. If somebody's coming in and saying, you know, barking about why their price is going up, well, then you can go back and reference, well, you know, insurance industry trends, and then go into all that and actually share that as a reason. You know, say, you know, if you actually fast forward to minute 21, you know, it's going to go into your specific reason as to why your price is going up. And then again, that's driving more business back to your website, and then they can share that, you know, webinar with other folks, and then it's just going to keep continuing to build from there.
You're right.
Repurposing that content
at Agency Revolution. Monica does a great job doing that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, you got to repurpose the content. Just because you know, created it once and used it once doesn't mean you can't use it again. Most of the content that you create really can be repurposed in many different ways. Really great story, Jared. Thank you. And you know, like I said, I mean, Jared's just a pleasure to work with. He gives us the ideas. We help him with the execution of it, and I think it's a perfect pairing. So we're happy to have you.
Happy to have you guys. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so let's go into some best practices, then cover a little bit on tracking and analytics, and then get into some of your questions. We have about 12 minutes left, and I think we're going to be able to get there right on time. All right, so best practices, do the pre-work, don't skip steps. You don't need to aim for perfection, but just make sure that you take, 30 minutes to kind of think through that campaign and put all of the elements together, and really make sure that you've covered all of your bases, because the more effort you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it. Sometimes we see clients get frustrated that something's not working, but there's a bunch of different pieces missing, to the campaign, so the results are just not happening because there's several elements that are not there, that are pretty critical to the success of the entire thing. So just don't skip steps, do that pre-work that we talked about. Stick to one objective, one call to action. This is what Liz talked about a little bit earlier. You don't want to have a landing page or an email or, an ad, anything of that sort, and have 5 different calls to action. Email us, click here, give us a call. Like, that just confuses the audience, and they don't know what to do, what you want them to do. So they might actually abandon doing, and not do anything, and you're going to lose that lead, you're going to lose that conversion. So stick to one thing. What do you want them to do? I want them to fill out a form. Great. That's the only thing that should be all over your, landing page, in your email, whatever. You need to just stick to one call to action so that they clearly understand what action you want them to take.
And I'm a big fan of the form, by the way, especially if you're following my advice, you're going to do a custom landing page. And especially if that has a custom form on it. Hey, I've got a commercial auto form that we created specifically for this campaign. Again, anyone that fills out that form has come to this landing page because of this campaign. It's an easy way to measure the success of it.
Absolutely. Pick a campaign theme. So, nothing big major here, but try to be consistent in what you're doing. Make sure that you're, the messaging, the design, the follow up and follow through is all consistent across your entire campaign, right? So when you're sending an email, make sure the messaging of that email, the copy of that email is complementary to what you have on that landing page. Make sure that the colors sort of match up. Make sure that you've got your brand represented. Make sure that you're following up and following through on all of those leads. So just think about what theme you want to go with for your campaign and make sure that that's consistent across the board. Again, eliminates confusion and kind of, and drives to conversion. Monitor and adjust as needed. So as you're running a campaign, you don't want to just sort of set it and forget it. You actually want to be looking at what's happening, looking at the results in real time, and tweaking and adjusting if needed. Charlie, you had some pointers on that one.
Well, I just think that that's the more common mistake that I see a lot of people. And number one, they're not setting that time duration. So back to the very beginning, we say, run a campaign. Specifically, if you're paying for it, like running a Google ad or something, make sure you're really making sure that you have an end date on it. And then who's checking up on it? Like, who within the agency is actually monitoring it? I'm shocked, constantly shocked at how many people just set these campaigns up in Fuse and then just aren't checking up on it. What are your goals? How many leads did you want to see from this, right? And hey, I'm going to check up every week, or I'm having someone within the agency check up on this every week to see how it's doing. And hey, after a couple of weeks, we're not getting much progress. Adjust as needed. What kind of tweaks can we make to the subject line, to the verbiage? Do we have the right list or audience? If you're not checking up on it, you're never going to make those adjustments. Okay.
Yeah.
And I would say too, make sure that you're using appropriately your outbox, because there's going to be some messages that just may not be appropriate, for the audience that you're trying to target. For example, we use QQ Catalyst as our agency management system, and everything in your marketing through Fuse is fed by the information that is in QQ Catalyst. And so you'll have a situation where you have a expired nationwide policy, and then you rewrote it with Progressive. They're going to potentially have both a win-back email and a new client email going out at the same time. we wouldn't send either one of those because they're not a new client and they're not a win back opportunity. But Fuse only knows what QQ is telling it. So you have to make sure that you've got your outbox turned on appropriately. And as Monica and David or Chorley, sorry, I got both said, you have to make sure somebody's monitoring that, because if you don't, they're going to be getting the wrong message, and it's just going to potentially have confused customers. So you got to be working it with both eyes open, and also have people that are dedicated, to checking those out. If you do, it's going to work flawlessly. But if you don't, it's kind of like riding a bike with your eyes closed. You don't know what you're going to hit, and you don't want to have that happen.
No, and it's a fine balance of, automation and manual, right? Like, I don't think you want to go in either direction 100%, 100% manual everything or 100% automated everything. Where it works really well is when you sort of combine the manual aspect of whatever it is you're doing with some really smart automation, so that you could make that process a lot more efficient for your agency. And I think
it makes
that
every bit of your output seem that much more intentional.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Automation shouldn't replace everything, but you also don't want to be a dinosaur and sort of, still live in the 1980s and do everything manually either.
Right.
One question
go
I
ahead,
want to
Liz.
answer. Lindsay Meese posted in the Q&A here. What is the average open rate for a campaign, and how do I know when to adjust it? I'm going to give an annoying answer because it all depends on the pre-work that was done. So average open rate, really hard to say for campaigns because it all depends on what you're targeting. So there isn't one solid answer. We have some general scales. Like with Fuse, if you're using Fuse actively, you're going to see a higher open rate. It's just kind of how the product works. If you're doing it through Gmail, might be tougher to try and track that open rate. So it all depends on what medium you're using to figure that out. And
we're talking about like the email, not the campaign, but the actual email.
Yeah, like I'm assuming so. For the open rate. And then how do I know when to adjust it? You know when to adjust it if the goal that you set is or is not getting met. So that's why it's really important to have that pre-work done in order to check yourself with all the processes that Chorley and Jared have been saying. So it's such a balance, and I know it's kind of like an indirect non-answer, but it truly depends on how you set up your campaign and what your outcome is trying to be with it.
Yeah.
And a good example there is like with a cross sell, just, hey, I've got a life insurance cross sell out there, and my goal was to get 10 leads. So after a month, we know that only 2 people have filled out that form with maybe 2 months left. So we're not quite at that goal. So what else can we do? What kind of changes? So and being realistic too, like something like that I just said is a fairly realistic, hey, we want a fairly conservative amount of leads. We're going to go with 10. And that's really easy to track, right?
The more you niche down, the less leads you're going to have because you're niche down. So it really also depends on, the size of your audience and how broad or narrow that audience is. Last slide on this piece of it in terms of best practices is just driving traffic to your hub. So the point that I want to make here is just having a landing page isn't going to get leads in the door for you. You have to be able to drive people to that hub, get traffic to that landing page in order to generate leads for your agency. And that can happen in many different ways. Some examples for you can have marketing emails drive traffic to your hub. You can use Fuse and sort of set up, a sequence step into a, welcome kit, for example, or other, custom campaigns that you can create in there. You can use social media, post links to your landing page on social media. You could you could promote it during community events. Could have a little business card with a QR code or something. You could utilize paid ads. There's so many different ways to drive traffic to that landing page. Just make sure that whatever avenue you're using, you're targeting the audience that actually wants to see that content. All right, tracking and analytics. we're not going to go too deep into this because I don't want you to overthink it. A lot of times, I get these questions like, what tools do you use to track the success of your campaign and conversions? And if you're a very, very savvy marketer and you've got, a ton of budget to sign up for like SEMrush or some other tools that are going to give you nitty gritty numbers that you could measure, across the entire campaign, that's great and, super effective. But for many of you, this is sort of like a little hobby or part-time job for you because you've got a real day job of selling insurance or running an insurance agency. So keep it simple. Some of the things that you could really easily track in literally a spreadsheet, how many visits did you have, you know, to that landing page? That's something that you could view in Google Analytics. If you're a Forge client, you have Google Analytics built into your Forge website dashboard. So that's pretty easy to access that data there. So how much traffic how many people actually visited that page? How many form submissions did you have on that page? And then, how many proposals did you send out from those leads? And then how many of them closed? Like, you really could just be looking at those 4 numbers in order to sort of determine, okay, is this successful? Is this giving me what I want? And maybe where can I turn up the volume a little bit? So if you're seeing that, okay, I only got 10 form fills because I only got 200, visitors to that landing page, well, then maybe you need to sort of amp things up a little bit in terms of promoting that landing page so that you can get more visitors and then eventually more conversions. But if you're getting a high number of form fills and then nothing is closing, then that problem may actually be on the sales side. Maybe, we're not doing something correctly there. Maybe we're not following up properly. Maybe the proposal is too confusing or how you're delivering it is not the right approach. So just having some basic metrics for you to look at can help you with analyzing how your campaign is doing and then adjusting from there. All right. Well, you know what? How about this? How about we go into some questions, Liz, that we've had, because I see a few questions in the Q&A, Liz or Chorley. Maybe we can answer those. And then for those that are remaining, we could just do a quick little demo of how, like a live demo of how a landing page with a form fill can kind of drop things into the Fuse pipeline.
We also can just do that, and the recording will be sent out and people can watch it there too if they have to.
Yep, exactly. All right, what questions do we have?
A lot of people asking for the recording. So yes, there will be a recording that gets sent out in case you need to review anything there. But Lindsay asked again, any tips on email subject lines? And tons of tips. I would say use Fuse to your advantage. So Fuse has a whole content library filled with specific emails that are built to convert or built to educate, built to cross-sell. So take a look at those inside of your Fuse account and see what inspiration drives. What can you take and steal and change at least 20% so you're not copying us in order to build it for your campaign. Additionally, ChatGPT is an awesome solution as well to help generate some of that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And we did a little live tour of how easily you could use ChatGPT in our blogging webinar that we did last month.
Oh, nice.
If you go onto the Agency Revolution website and click on live webinars, actually, I'll do that. Can you guys see the screen?
Yep.
Cool. So if you go on our website and go under resources, live webinars, you will see a replay of the blogging webinar that we did. So you can watch that replay. We actually did a live demo of ChatGPT and how easily you can come up with blogging topics, blogging articles, but you can use that same approach with coming up with email subject lines.
And with subject lines, sorry.
I will say real quick, Chorley, we have some awesome product things coming when it comes to AI. So I'm not going to go.
I was hoping you were going to plug a little bit.
Oh, I'll plug a lot of it. We have so many cool AI initiatives coming, which I'm sure Monica will have tons and tons and tons of webinars on so we can learn some more. But generating content on both Forge and Fuse will be able to be done through our platform without leaving to go to ChatGPT. So we're very excited.
Oh, I love that. That's
Amazing.
I know. And then with
It's
something like
coming.
subject lines, like I'll literally just ask ChatGPT to give me like 15, different examples of a subject line for this email. And I inevitably choose the one that sounds like it just comes from me, or like this is a subject line that I would write, or, or it sounds like it's in line with our agency. And 9 times out of 10, that seems to be the subject line that sticks and ends up working. So
Yeah.
don't be afraid, embrace the AI.
Yes.
All right. What other questions do we have? I thought I saw a few more. Let's see. We have something in the Q&A. Hello, everyone. Okay. Well, love it.
Love
Hello.
that.
Hi, Alan. Um, majority of my communication is text and email, probably 80% or more. That aligns with what Liz was talking about. She never talks to her agent live. She messages. So that's completely on point there. And Lindsay had a question. When you say campaign, is this relating to social media? No, when I say campaign, I mean like a full on campaign. To me, a campaign has many different elements. So it's sort of like the umbrella for all of the different activities that you would be doing for a specific goal, right? So social media would just be one of the elements. You would be using social media in order to drive people to your hub, that landing page within your campaign. So a campaign is kind of like an umbrella policy, if we're going to use an analogy, an insurance analogy.
And with Infuse, if you're activating a campaign, we call that a campaign as well. So if you look into the Fuse content library, if you do a quick start campaign and turn something on, we in our product we call those things a campaign as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly. By the way, I'm going to do a little live demo. So for those of you who are hanging out, you'll get to see that. And of course, you'll see the recording. I just wanted to point out on my screen, if you do want to learn more about Forge or Fuse, if you're a client already, you can reach out to our team at agencyrevolution.com inbox. And if you have questions on how to use, on anything related to your Forge website or anything related to Fuse or pipeline, our team will be happy to help you. We can schedule a call with you, and assist you with any help that you may need with either of those products. But if you're not a client, scan that QR code. That'll drive you to a landing page that's all about Forge and Fuse. So it'll kind of explain to you what we do and how we do it, and some of the benefits of both products and some additional components on pipeline and reputation management. So feel free to check that out just to learn a little bit more.
And you got they can reach out to me too, if they want to have, firsthand, account for what it's like on my end.
Yeah.
I would be more than happy to have some conversations like that as well.
That sounds great, Jared.
Awesome.
All 200 of them may reach out to you. So
Please, let's do it.
Keep those phone lines open.
That's fine. We can do it.
All right. So let me show you a quick live demo of how this campaign idea would work with our Forge marketing landing pages and our Fuse marketing automation product with that pipeline journey feature that we talked about. So we covered all of these in our presentation, but I'm actually going to show you the live experience. So here is a landing page that we built for that example of commercial auto insurance. And as you could, we didn't fill out all of the content, but we just wanted to kind of get it a little bit set up so that you could get the idea. So this is one of the many landing pages that we can customize for your use. It talks about commercial auto. As you could see, there's a little stat in here. There's some additional fun facts in there. And as you scroll down, you get to a form. This form is actually a Fuse form. So this is a Forge website, but we have a Fuse form built in. So when I fill out this form that's tied into our Fuse system, let's see. Oh my gosh, I can't type live. Okay, so when I fill this out and submit it, what's going to happen? Oh, what's going to happen is CAPTCHA, which I hate, by the way.
Sorry.
At least I know it prevents spam, but it absolutely annoys me. So oh my gosh. See, this is where we get stuck with how many?
Okay. Spammers. Sorry.
I know. So once I fill out that form on this landing page here, what's going to happen is now I'm in my Fuse marketing automation dashboard, and I'm in pipeline right here. And if I refresh this, I haven't refreshed in a while. there I am, my lead from that landing page, from the form fill that I just filled out, got dropped into my prospect stage of my Fuse pipeline. And it came directly into my commercial auto campaign pipeline. So you could create different pipelines for whatever campaign that you're running. So it dropped into commercial auto campaign pipeline into the prospect stage. I can take a look at this lead, right? So let's just say you have somebody at the office that's maybe like a administrative person that's going to vet these leads for you before they get assigned out to, to a producer. Then you can have them go into each lead as part of their vetting process, sort of get everything checked out. You could tag the account with something specific. You could, update their company name if it's a business. You can tag the lead. So like if you say, okay, this is a qualified lead, now that I've qualified it, you could do that. You could set a due date for when you want that person to reach out. You could actually even add, whatever products you're
I will
targeting
say,
for them.
let's say a person who fills out this campaign is already associated within your management system, those
Mhm.
details are going to pull up as well. So it's all connected by that email address that they use to fill out the form. So then
Yeah.
under products, you would see, oh, Joe Smith has auto, umbrella, and home with me. So there's no extra work involved if that person is within the management system.
Yeah. So like if you're doing a cross sell,
Yeah.
right, that information would already be there. But if your campaign is focused on net new prospects that don't have any kind of a relationship with your agency, then yeah, you would have to actually fill that information in.
Yeah.
So now that I've done some of this information filling, if I go back to my pipeline, you could see, okay, this is assigned to me with a due date of, September 27th. It's commercial auto is what I'm targeting as the policy. And right now this lead is cold, but I could set it to be whatever. And then I can just grab this, I can grab this and move it to the next stage. So if I'm that administrative person qualifying the leads for, the producers, I could just move it into the qualified lead stage, which this stage has a bunch of different sequences that lead is going to go through. So in this case, it's going to add a tag, commercial auto lead. It's going to wait a minute and it's going to send out an email. I could preview that email if I want to, just to make sure that it's sending what I want it to send. And as assuming all looks great, I could just confirm and say, move it. And now that lead is sitting in this stage. So the idea is that you can just kind of move this lead through the pipeline journey, through all of these different stages until you get to the point where you've closed that lead. So that just gives you a little bit of a live demo on how the whole ecosystem of Forge and Fuse works together. In a 360 approach, so that you don't really, need to do anything else other than just have those two products. It's us and the AMS system is what we
And
like to say.
we're doing so many cool things to pipeline. So lots of changes coming. So what's new is that bulk action mode up there. We're also working on the ability to have pipeline templates. So just like you would activate a campaign, a quick start campaign within Fuse, we're going to do the same thing within pipeline. So you don't have to think, oh my gosh, what are all the steps that I need to do in order to build a great pipeline? We're going to take care of that for you and you can just activate it. And so much more. And so much more is coming that I'll shut up about. But
No, we're excited. I'm excited to host all the webinars where you could be my guest and you could tell us about all the amazing things that are coming.
that's fine.
And
Guess you sucked me in. Now I'm on webinars.
Well, this completes this webinar. I hope you got a lot of great nuggets out of this. I hope you got some great ideas from Jared and how he, and his case study. I hope you got some great nuggets from Liz and Chorley and me on just how to get started. And if you are a Forge client or a Fuse client, you can reach out to team@agencyrevolution.com and the team will be happy to help you get going on some of these initiatives, whether you need help setting up a campaign within Fuse that's just a marketing automation campaign, or if you want to do the whole 360 approach with a marketing landing page, and a form and marketing automation and a bunch of email sequences, we can help you set that up as well. They're happy to assist. We have a great support team that's always very responsive and ready to help you. If you're not a client and you want to learn more, again, scan this QR code. That'll take you to our Forge and Fuse landing page that'll tell you all about our product lineup and how you can benefit from that. We'll be running these webinars on a monthly basis. So if you have any topic ideas or suggestions, feel free to share that as well. And finally, if you have any feedback for us on whether or not you enjoyed this webinar, if you've learned something, I would love to hear that feedback. You could post your comments in the chat. Always fun to share your comments with the team. We will send out a recording of this webinar for sure. But when we prepare the recording, I always like to include your feedback with the rest of the Agency Revolution team so that they can hear directly from you how you're enjoying these webinars and, you know, whether you find them useful. So feel free to throw in your thoughts into the chat if you're, you know, if you have any feedback from us.
Or if you have
Otherwise,
a bunch of product feedback for me, feel free to access our Canny, which is built into your unified dashboard. So I read it obsessively, plan lots of things from it. So Canny is our product message board, essentially, where you can vote on topics. And if you want to see something built in a certain way, we truly do take it to heart and add it to our roadmap. So hit me up there.
yeah. Awesome. Well, any other questions before we sign off? And by sign off, I mean we're probably going to chit chat for a little bit because I still see a bunch of people hanging on. So if you have any other questions?
Can you show an example with life insurance or another topic?
Hey guys, I actually have to jump off and get on another call.
Go for it, Jared. Go for it.
Thank you so much for the time today. This was a blast. Let's do it again, okay?
Yes. Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome. Thank you. See ya.
Bye. I don't know that we have a live example of life insurance. However, if you know, in terms of an example, I mean, I would say your landing page would need, you know, the copy of that would need to be focused on, you know, that topic, life insurance, and, you know, you'd have to decide who do you want to target, right? Do you want to target, like, you know, young families? Do you want to target, you know, someone in their midlife? Like, just make sure that if you're interested in using life insurance as your marketing campaign topic, go through that same process of what is your objective? Who is your audience? What do you want them to do? All of that pre-work. I'm not sure if you're a Forge client or not, but if you are, you can reach out to our team and we can help you set that up, set all those components up specific to life insurance.
And if I could give a quick example of maybe how to use the pipeline a little bit differently, when it comes to life insurance. If you have some kind of sales funneling product, our pipeline, for example, maybe a part of that is, hey, we send out an email, we have a landing page, a lead comes in from a form fill, maybe part of that stage is, hey, we're going to have an internal producer, whip up a quick quote, specific to that life insurance policy that happens behind the scenes. So they have a good estimate of in real time of what a life insurance policy would look like. And then you guys are going to take the additional step of emailing that customer and saying, hey, this is with this specific carrier, this is what adding life insurance to your policy would look like. And that's all part of the automated process or that pipeline journey. That's one step in that journey that you've, of course, come up with during your pre-work stage of the campaign.
Yep, absolutely. Ryan says, I'm a new client to Agency Revolution. We are just getting the website rolled out. Are the items discussed today add-ons, or would they be included in what we have already? Ryan, if you're a website client, then the marketing landing pages that we went over today are all included in the Forge platform. We have a bunch of different styles, to choose from, and then we can customize the content and the imagery and the whole vibe for you based on what your campaign needs are. I'm not sure if you're a Fuse client, just because I don't have the system pulled up right now, but if you are a Fuse client, then everything we went over today would be included as well. Pipeline is built into Fuse. There's no add-on cost for that. So hopefully that answers your question. Any other questions? I think we're all set, right?
Angela just asked to the landing page just sent via email. I mean, typically that's how it's done. Is you would have a list of emails within your management system, and that's always a way to get it off the ground. But it depends on what your objectives are. If you're looking for leads, you might be placing an ad with Google. You might be placing an ad with Facebook or something, and maybe that's where you're getting a lot of your form fills up. So if you have an email list and you feel like you can meet your objective by using that email list, absolutely, you would want to email that landing page out, no question.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
the
and I
landing
mean,
page is a part of the website. So you have a bigger website, and that's what our implementation team will build for you. And then once you get through implementation, you have the option to then build these specialized landing pages. So these landing pages just give you that ability to really focus and target people to fill out a form on a specific topic. So they're totally optional, but we love them, and they really do help get the word out for specific topics.
great. Well, this was great, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. For those of you left over, we have some diehard fans here. I feel like a rock star right now. We've got, people waiting for encore, for encores. So
I know, what would be the encore?
encore.
They may
I
want
don't
me
know.
to sing another Earth, Wind, and Fire song.
I was
don't
going to say,
know.
Charlie, are you going to sing?
I don't know any others. That's the.
No, this was great. I hope you guys learned a lot. For those of you who are clients, thank you for
Thank you,
trusting
guys.
us with your marketing. We appreciate it. And for those of you who are not, again, look how fun we are. You would get to work with us, That's my pitch to you. But anyway, hope you learned a lot. Liz and Charlie, thanks for joining me. And of course, Jared, who is here. And